Welcome to SVG TV News for Friday, March 3rd, 2023. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. Chief Health Promotions Officer Shanika John is reminding Vincentians that the COVID-19 pandemic is not yet over, and with cases of COVID-19 still being recorded on the island, persons should continue to follow the preventative measures against the deadly virus. John was discussing the issue on NBC Radio Face-to-Face program this morning.
The pandemic itself is still not over. We're still in the COVID-19 pandemic. We're still seeing cases of COVID-19, although it's not a lot that we are used to seeing. For example, we're not seeing the cases coming in by the hundreds in the days and so forth. And this is not just unique to St. Vincent, this is across the region. And I think one of the contributing factors is that a lot of people have learned to manage their symptoms and learn to treat and self-diagnose, even though it's something that we don't advocate for. But we still want people to pay particular attention for those vulnerable people. So if you do have a cold and it's not going away and it's been there for a while and you're not getting better, it's time to get care. And it could not be COVID-19, it could be an influenza strain, it could be something else that you're dealing with. But the point is that you don't want to wait until it's too late for you to access the care. And more we've been saying to people, if after 2 days, 3 days, you're not better and you're getting worse, you need to get to a nearest health center or your general practitioner where you can be assessed. We still want people to be mindful, especially those persons who will do their self-testing and you may test positive. We want you to take the responsibility of isolating yourself from those persons who are vulnerable, from your workplace, your co-workers, and we're still encouraging frequent sanitization.
The latest update provided by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, it stated that 9,589 cases of COVID-19 have been recorded here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with 9,463 recoveries and 123 deaths. St. Vincent and the Grenadines will join the global community tomorrow, Saturday, March 4th, 2023, in observing World Obesity Day. World Obesity Day is observed annually on March 4th to draw attention to the rising cases of obesity. This year's theme, Changing Perspectives, Let's Talk About Obesity, aims to remove the stigma attached to obesity and encourage people around the world to collaborate, discuss, and find solutions to the problem. Speaking on NBC Radio Face-to-Face program today, Chief Health Promotions Officer Shanika John explained the health risk of being obese.
So for tomorrow in particular, we're going to be doing a social media campaign online. And it's really just focused on education. I think there's a lot of misconceptions and myths still around the whole idea of obesity, especially now because we live in a setting where people have adopted certain concepts about the way they look at their body and the way you feel about your body and embracing your body and all of that. And we're very much for those different methods. But one of the things that we do recognize is that if your body weight is more than what your height, your age can carry, it is going to affect your overall health and well-being. And so we want people to really get moving. We want people to adjust their lifestyles with simple choices and simple adaptations, of which we would also share tomorrow as well going forward. And we do have some activities, which is why Pastor Brent is here as well, which is where we want to share also.
On Monday, March 6, 2023, several health workers will be exposed to 1 week of surveillance training organized by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and the World Health Organization, the WHO. A news release from the Ministry of Health said the workshop is geared at strengthening national surveillance capacities using regional and global standard as a reference and using tools from data management and analysis communication and case studies to be developed during the program. In other news now, we hear that 125 residents of the communities of Sandy Bay and Overland are among 1,000 persons who have benefited from a 3-month volcanic eruption emergency project, Veep Life Skills Initiative. The program, which provided training support to people living in the red, orange, and yellow zones, ended on February 24th, 2023. 2 graduation ceremonies were held simultaneously on March 2nd for participants from Sandy Bay Bay Overland at a Sandy Bay Seventh-day Adventist Church, while 87 participants graduated from the OEA Fancy cohort. Parliamentary Representative for the North Windward constituency, Montgomery Daniel, described the past 2 years as a very challenging period for residents in the red zone with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the eruptions of Lasso Frere. Minister Daniel said consequently the government introduced a number of initiatives to help families in the area. Facilitator of the Sandy Bay Division, Ingrid Charles, thanked the World Bank and the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the financial and technical support provided to ensure the program's success. Charles said topics covered range from stress management, financial and time management, personal plans to a resume and cover letters, among others. The Veep Life Skills component targeted people from vulnerable communities impacted by the volcanic eruption, ages 20 to 70 years. Over 1,000 residents have graduated from the program to date. Participants were drawn from households with little or no income and reside in the red, orange or yellow zones. The project is supported by the Ministry of Economic Planning and the World Bank. The national coordinator of the Police Youth Club, Sergeant Stephen Billy, said proper parental guidance is absent in many homes across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which must be addressed. Sergeant Billy, along with the Deputy Coordinator Corporal Deacon Shuet, were discussing matters related to the Police Youth Club on WFM yesterday.
You find that a lot of our youths are single-parent home children, and most of the parents, single parents, are females, and so there's an absentee of fatherhood or fathership in terms of those who are supposed to play the roles of fathers, whether biological or otherwise. They're missing, and because of that, we find that the children sometimes have a challenge with that. There's other behavioral problems that comes along with that, and it spills off into the club. But sometimes when it is most challenging, especially for some coordinators who might have a challenge, I remind them that the club was started actually because of youths like those. And the purpose of the Police Youth Club is to help these children, not just the ones we consider good. And I'm just saying that because I don't think children are bad. I think that they're misguided and sometimes, get into bad company. But yeah, so they have a number of challenges. Some of them are financial, social issues, simple things of not, as I mentioned from being, there's some of these problems still exist where the children can't really read properly, or they lash out, they have not learned how to deal with conflict. Yeah, and so everything that every little disturbance or a dispute, they are ready to hit, and they hit out, right? And sometimes you don't even have to trouble them. Sometimes some children are there and they're in a meeting setting and people are there and somebody just hits somebody. And so these are some of the challenges that we as coordinators face with these children.
Sergeant Billy said more persons should get involved in molding children into law-abiding citizens.
The future. And the future is now.
Oh, okay then.
The future is not 5 years down the road. Why? If we do not discipline, mold, teach our children to be law-abiding, productive citizens, the future, when they do take over, it will be chaos. So you can't sit on the sideline.
And wait.
Sometimes I just be amazed at how some persons will react to the Police Youth Club when you reach out to them, and yet you will hear these same people are the biggest critics of the youths, right? So I am saying, like, the netball competition, it is all geared for the development of the youth, bring them together, they learn to socialize and they play with one another, and it is a competition, but at the same time it's also to help them to learn a level of discipline, because sports give you that, right? So it's all about bringing discipline from every aspect.
According to Sergeant Billy, from an early age, males were thought to be irresponsible. Hence, it is not surprising that some of the crimes being committed in society today are by the hands of young males, and that the Police Youth Group or Youth Club is doing its part to change this mindset.
Last Saturday, the Stubbs Police Youth Club launched our first ever mentorship program. It's male-to-male mentorship program, right? And all those programs are part and parcels of reaching our males. And it's not to say women are not included, but if you notice, a lot of our boys are on the street, A lot of our boys are the ones who commit the crime. When I say boys, I mean young men. And they are the ones in prison. If you watch the prison population, male to female ratio, you'll realize that there are much more males in prison than females. And I think that this happened because from 19, how long? I'm an old fella. I'm older than you. When I grew up, and I'm sure it's the same thing, parents would allow their boys to be on the street. They go anywhere. However, the girls are always taught to be responsible. They have to stay home. They have to learn to cook. They have to make sure they do their homework. They have to make sure they learn to clean. And they can't go certain places without parental guidance. Contrary, the boys were left to run up and down, go to the river, fishing, play, come back sometimes when they feel like. So from an early age, we have been teaching our boys way back then how to be irresponsible and careless. And so as they grow into adulthood, that's who they become. So the Police Youth Club is now trying to change that culture, where we target our boys and let them know that you have a role to play. Men have a role in society, and the role of men is not to be, as I say, be the black as a waste man, pick up a gun, run drugs, or
deviant, yeah.
That is not the role. Or beat up a woman. That doesn't make you a man. You understand? You respect the women, you respect who you are, and you play the role as a man. You are you also protect your women and your children, provide. It's an equal role. But at the same time, you are the stronger being. So be that head of the home. Boys and girls need their fathers. And if we don't change the direction, which we are seeing, we're gonna end up in even deeper trouble than we are already in with our boys. So the youth club is there to galvanize that kind of instill that kind of teaching.
The Stubbs Police Youth Club recently launched a male-to-male mentorship program in which 11 mentees will be provided guidance by 12 appointed mentors. The Traffic Department of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is investigating an accident in Orange Hill last evening in which a passenger van overturned in an area called Savannah Gutter. According to reports, several persons who were on board were taken to the nearby Georgetown Medical Complex. However, after observation and treatment, they were all discharged. The van HR 981 was recently seen in the video circulating on social media, cornering on two wheels reportedly full of passengers. The driver at the time was identified as police officer Sharon Hull, who was charged with several traffic offences and his driver's license suspended. In a news release, the Traffic Department of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force says the roads in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are not racetracks and should be used with due care and attention with consideration for other users. The department also called on all motorists to desist from reckless behavior and drive carefully and responsibly on public roads. Two secondary school teachers were selected to participate in a teacher attachment program facilitated by the Caribbean Community Secretariat. Latoya Deroshe John, a teacher at the St. Vincent Girls High School, and Roxanne Williams, a teacher at the St. Vincent Grammar School, were nominated to participate in the secondary school's teacher attachment program in the CARICOM Single Market and Economy. The teachers from St. Vincent and the Grenadines are assigned to complete their attachment in Trinidad and Tobago during the period March 6 to the 17, 2023. The program is facilitated by the CARICOM Secretariat with assistance from the 11th European Development Fund. The attachment program is geared towards enhancing the implementation of an advocacy on the CARICOM Single Market and Economy in the region. The program is expected to give teachers regional exposure to enhance learning opportunities for students. And preparatory work on the new Education Sector Development Plan 2022 to 2032 for the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation will continue next week. The 3-day workshop, which focuses on program writing, will take place at the French's House from March 6th to the 8th and brings together ministry administrators, education officers, principals, and teachers. Funded by the Global Partnership for Education and the World Bank, participants students will 1. Design education sector plan programs that detail the strategies to achieve policy priorities and plan outcomes. 2. Make progress on the choice of key performances indicators and targets for plan outcomes and programs. 3. Enhance their understanding of and competencies in the education sector plan program, design and the selection of targets. The workshop will be facilitated by regional consultant Marcus Edward and ESP technical working group members and begins daily at 9 a.m. Students from a number of primary and secondary schools across St. Vincent and the Grenadines marched from the Bishop College Kingston to Victoria Park in their Garofuna colors today for the 8th National Schools Garofuna Folk Festival. The festival was held under the theme Children of Châteauye, Fruits of Our Heritage. An exhibition also formed part of the activities at the Victoria Park. At the opening ceremony, President of the National Garofuna Heritage Foundation, David Daki Williams, said they continue to promote the legacy of Châteauye by educating people about the rich history of the Garofunas.
And doing it not only by things such as this gathering here today, but more importantly, educating Vincentians about the importance of the month, National Heroes Month, about the importance of history and making history help us to forge a way forward. I hope every time, those of you who come here every year, I am seeing faces that I have seen before. Faces of some students who have moved from the primary level to the secondary level and find themselves into this festival. And that is very encouraging for me and members of my organization.
Further encourage the students to continue to promote the history and culture of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for a stronger nation.
The history of Garofuna is a very colorful history. It is a very potent history. And it instills in us that sense of nationhood, that sense of nationality. And I hope that as deeply as this culture, this Garofuna heritage, as deeply as it has affected how I approach my life, I hope some of this will rub off on you as you grow older.
And Senior Education Officer Aldia Gumsteyer said that the Ministry of Education and the schools are happy to be part of the Folk Festival due to its benefits to students.
When students take part in activities like this one, they are able to reinforce the concepts that they are learning in the classroom in enjoyable and exciting ways. And they are able to build new skills. Important concepts such as cultural preservation, what is heritage and tradition, are shown to children at various developmental stages in ways in which they can understand and relate to. In fact, when they themselves engage in the research, they are able to do some reinforcement. So in short, children get the opportunity to see subjects like history and social studies in functional and practical ways. As a result, they can take part in conversations in a smart way and make their own contributions to issues that affect our community and have been affecting our community historically.
Here's a snippet of some of the performances at the Folk Festival today at the Victoria Park.
Boomba! Haragutu! Acha! Haragutu! Acha! Hey Gayan! Buiti binafi. Ilivanya. Magaditi na agiluya. Warigati. Kalinagos, Kalinagos. Let us keep the spirit alive. Keep the spirit alive. Iravan via. Tenke. Buiti achu luruni. We are Garofuna, people of Farin and Dukuna. We work hard in the house and outside yard. Cooking, cleaning, ironing, washing, gardening, farming. Linkambashi plain Suki. Sunday morning, I lie in bed, waiting for Millie to rub me hair. I open the coverlet and I look to see, but no Millicent was, but no Millicent was. Skip to my loop, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop, my darling.
And the University of the West Indies Open Campus and the Vincentian Association of Artists, Writers and Producers, Inc. will host the annual literary fair from Wednesday, March 8th to Saturday, 11th under the theme Promoting the Arts, Sustaining the Environment, Preserving Our Cultural Heritage. The literary art will include a book and art exhibition featuring several works by local artists and artists. The main highlight of the fair will be an evening with the arts on Friday, March 10th at 7 p.m. featuring live music, poetry, and the performing arts. Steve Wiley will launch his book, The Village in Us, on Thursday, March 9th at 6:30 p.m. at the open campus site. The fair will also provide an opportunity for children and young people to share their artwork and read samples of their stories and poetry on Saturday, March 11th. This is scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. The 4-day event forms part of the National Heroes and Heritage Month celebrations and seek to encourage citizens to use the literary, visual and performing arts as conduits to promote and advocate for peaceful and harmonious societies, including respect for and administration of the tangible and intangible heritage. The literary art is also an opportunity to showcase Vincentian talent in the creative arts. Local panist Roddy Dowers said he is happy that the stigma surrounding steel pans in the past has improved over the years. Doppel was joined by other panists Rodney Small and Jamori Francis on VC3 Roundtable Talk this week, discussing the culture of steel pan in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Before me, I would hear that pan was a backyard thing and a bad boy thing. It wasn't so much like that in my early time, but you could tell where it came from. And the type of people you would see, let me say it this way, that you would see plain pan, you could tell is the roughnecks. You know, people would have probably been on the blocks and so on and come to play. Yeah, there certainly was a stigma attached to pan. It was probably worse before me. Not probably, I'm sure it was worse before me, because I would hear Sado and the other guys in Starlift talk about it, you know, the problems before when thief in a drum to go and build a pan and all these kind of things. You know, it's a lot of crazy stories you would hear. So it has gotten better, you know, obviously much, much better. We had an event on Sunday was, if a pan man was to come back from the dead from the 60s and see that program, that event that we had on Sunday, you would never believe that we would have gotten to that stage, you know. But in terms of the development, I think we're getting there. The Europa movement is doing a great job in terms of trying to develop it and move it to another direction, you know, so that people could feel free to come out and come to a good pan program.
Speaking on the steel pan culture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamari Francis of Symphonic Steel Orchestra says the steel pan has changed his life and allowed him to to relieve tension, noting that historically young persons used the steel pan for their livelihood and entertainment.
Pan is what caught my life. It was a way of all these tensions in your body. I went to the pan yard, I met a girlfriend, I went to the pan yard. That's what you went for? No, well, and to this day, you know, that's how it is. So historically, pan is something that young people used to use for their livelihood, because pan was what you used to play in black holes. Western Fantasy used to have black holes all over the place. Pan used to play Juve Morning majority of the times. So in the early days, in the 90s, when I grew up, pan yard was our way of entertainment, of recreation. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have color TV. We had TV, but it was black and white. You know what I mean? And I am grateful that I stepped my foot in a pan yard in 1991. Changed the person I am, and it made me the person I am today.
President of the Yulu Pan movement, Rodney Small, said pan is mainly about identity, noting that the steel pan fraternity is, however, still fighting for acceptance.
Pan is a vehicle. Pan is social transformation, right? And if we're listening around the table, you're hearing all those elements that are coming out, and if you're observing what has been happening throughout the years with pan, you would identify all those things. But mainly, pan is identity, right? We spoke about the pioneers, and we even spoke about the stigmas and the labels that were given to persons who were involved in pan. But one of the thing is, based on of your question, Teresa, is our role. As a fraternity, in my personal and humble opinion, we're still fighting for acceptance. It's getting better, because as Laura said, in history, we're known to be bad people, no goods, waste of time, delinquents, you name it. And I know across the room, for three of us here, it was a risk that we took, right? Even for me and Jomo, even more, and even as Doris too. But when we decided to make pan music a career, I mean, never mind we have our 8 to 4, because I work in the Ministry of Culture. Jomo work at the Carnival Development Corporation, but we were identified because of what we were doing or what we are doing as pan players.